Hey, Wilson, say something real quick.
All right, let's see if you can hear me. Which microphone?
Oh, it don't matter. Go ahead.
It's just all of them
Yeah,
at the same time.
Yeah, keep going a little bit, please.
Yeah, I should probably about the volume I'm going to be talking
Yep.
tonight, so just keep on saying things.
All right, that's good.
All right. I have two mics. One's under the shirt, one's on. Yeah.
It's crazy. Wilson, I'm gonna move that second mic down a little bit.
I'll just take this thing off.
Well, no, I mean, that was good.
Oh. All right. I'm actually gonna go grab my water out of the car and I'll be right back.
Expecting a lot more people.
I know, huh? Yeah.
Cause they used to have it in that big room, the meeting, and then cutting us down into here.
Is this what they're gonna be going over?
It's, I think he's gonna go over and try to get people's ideas on some neighborhood improvements,
Okay.
stuff that y'all like in the neighborhood. And, well, I'll answer some code enforcement questions if y'all have any.
Okay.
Like, I know a lady who lives over here on Bates, right across the street, I guess that way, she was gonna open that, some of the money for the neighborhood improvements, they could put some speed bumps along Bates, right here by the park. She said people drive too fast by the park. I told her she wasn't feeling good, I'm not sure she'll make it tonight, but.
Well, I have a neighbor of mine that was telling me that too herself. She goes, and I live on Second Place.
Okay.
But there are children, but not that many. I mean, most is just older people that have been there. And she says, I want speed bumps.
Yeah. Well, she was concerned because it's right by the park and the kids crossing the street.
Yeah.
She said when people turn off Indiana onto Bates, they just really drive fast.
Yeah.
And
But
they're-
we're like probably 2 blocks away from the Quarters or whatever that school is. And I was like, well, I can see it
Oh, okay. I
around the
know around where you're
school,
talking about.
but we're over on Second Place, and I don't know that I'd be too happy about that, but I don't know.
I'm gonna go grab some business card. I do the codes enforcement for Arnett
Oh, okay.
Benson
Okay.
and Jackson as well. Let me go get some cards, so if y'all want any, if you need anything, y'all can.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
I totally forgot.
What do you think about those speed bumps?
Well, maybe by the park, you
Yeah,
know, but not in there, and
exactly.
during, you know,
By the park and by the school
Yes,
By the
yes,
school.
yes,
Those
most
are
definitely.
the two most important because
Yes.
whatever kids are gonna be coming over here,
Mm-hmm.
hey, but you know what? We're not gonna have no schools there. Are they gonna knock down, they're gonna take away Wolford Elementary and McWhorter Elementary. That's why they knocked down Matthews Junior High.
I saw that.
They
I saw
knocked it
that.
down because they're gonna build a new building for Wolford Elementary and McWhorter Elementary.
Oh, okay.
So, we,
yeah,
You
we
know,
wouldn't have to worry about that so
we're
much.
gonna worry about the speed bumps. Like I said, the old school's gonna be over there where it used to be Matthews.
Okay.
And, but
Well, I think here, in this area, just right here, because of the park.
kids,
Yeah, the kids.
yeah, that'd be something.
Another thing that we're saying on the TV, something about paving,
Yeah,
and
they're
here,
not gonna spend that money on us over here.
yeah,
They're not.
it's,
All right, Mr. Brewer.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, Mr. Brewer.
thank you.
Thank you.
Work for the city of Lubbock.
I do.
Code enforcement.
Yes, I was in far west Lubbock for about 3.5 years, and I've been in Yarnett Benson now just a little bit over a year. Still kind of learning the neighborhood, but I've met a lot of people, and I've kind of learned where trouble spots are and stuff like that.
As always, I'll get started in about 5 minutes, let people sneak in at the last second.
That's what
That
we're
always
gonna do.
happens. Might be a smart crowd tonight, which is perfectly alright. It's to be expected, especially having so many meetings, but I definitely appreciate y'all for being here.
I don't think that the city can spend all that money to pave alleys.
Yeah, they do that.
No, alleys, the city doesn't pave, that's up to the people that
Yeah,
live there. If they want to
Yeah.
pave their alley, you
well,
gotta
you
get
know,
everyone to pay.
what I was worried about is, this is an older neighborhood,
Of course.
and there's a lot of lines buried under the
Sure.
alleys.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if they pave them,
Well, they would, the lines are really in the right of way part of the alley. I mean, there are some that go
yeah,
across, but most of them are kind of
Yeah.
right by your fence line. They go
Okay.
kind of on the sides of the alley. So if they paved or whatever, they would pave where the city vehicles drive and probably leave the sides where they
Probably.
can get.
there's no guarantee on that though.
Well, I'm sure they look for the lines before they do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
You know,
How's that?
I mean,
So we got
those
10
guys,
people on there.
I think they know
Oh,
what they're doing.
that's good.
I assume they do.
Well, the one
Alright.
thing
Oh,
that
well,
has me
it just dropped
worried,
down to 4,
I think it was
but
last
It
year.
was 10, just right when I
they
said
were
that it was
saying
10.
The city said.
No,
you
now
know,
it's
if
10 again.
something happened to the sewer line in the alley, now that the owner had to
It
pay.
depends on where it is. It's not the out, it's from the, I believe, from your property line in or out.
Out to the alley.
Right. The city handles that, but anything from the property line in, I
yeah.
believe is the
Which is only,
property.
which is only right, I guess.
Yeah, but from the property line out, it's only, I mean, what, it's short.
4 feet maybe to
Yeah,
the
maybe.
center of the alley.
Yeah, I don't know how far it goes out.
Well, you know what, one question that
But
has
is
been
it
lingering in my
connected
mind
Huh?
for
To a
years
lot of
now
houses.
Yeah,
is,
I would think
So
so.
how would you
Benson,
know who's responsible?
you know, we
They would determine.
we have prime
Whether
real
we said
estate
anything about it or
on
not,
the
they
best
would determine.
being because we're right across the street.
So that
from
kind of
Texas.
defeats the purpose of them paving.
Prime
the
real
alleys, 'cause then
estate.
they
Sure.
tear it up and then they
Uh,
throw more cement.
Is there any chance of, you know, these
Well,
these
What I would do is
highfalutin,
if they pave it,
you know,
and something
billion-dollar
happens, then they have to tear
developers
it up
come in
on them.
Yeah.
they would
where
have to pay
it's
for it.
not like McDougal,
Exactly.
you know.
I'm not gonna do
Yeah.
that.
Is there any chance of,
I'm a type one, I'm not
of
gonna do
them
that.
I have
planning
no
to do
husband, I have
orientation
no
like we
money,
did
I let
over,
them take paycheck.
like
I live
knocking
on
down
Social
everything and,
The reason I would say no, just my opinion, is because Yarnett Benson has a lot stronger sense of community. The Overton area, especially where they already did, you know, that South Overton or North Overton, I mean, there was no sense of community. It was nothing but, you know, crime and stuff. In Yarnett Benson, even still today, there's a huge sense of community. It's more, I couldn't see them doing that. I could see individual developers buying individual properties, but as far as like a neighborhood thing, I don't think I'd see that, at least not for now.
well, you know, it's a shame. It's a shame that one of these households that are, you know, families, you know, generations have lived in through there, you know. And never one of them has put in a dime to try and upgrade them, upkeep them, you know, so they look a little shabby. And then here come these developers or these
Hey,
fly by
Rosie,
night
can you
real
pass me that
estate
microphone right there?
guys coming out.
Can you pass me that mic
in
right
my mail.
Those flippers,
Those
I call them
flippers,
flippers.
I get them, you know, if I wanna sell my property and
Yeah.
one of them already had like a $56,000 check on it. You know, I guess they don't, they see your property,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Lubbock's
already they've gone, you know.
neighborhood plan.
So what I'm getting at is a lot of these people
And
from the neighborhood, you know, they're a little
Pretty soon
poor,
we'll just
or they
try to
just don't
get
have their
to
priorities right.
Get here.
Yeah,
They,
Give them a
somebody
little extra couple.
Somebody tells them, I'll give you $25,000 for
Yeah.
that house, and these people are gonna take the money and run,
heck yeah, they will.
you know, so
It's a lot, I mean,
you show these people cash,
it's a lot of money, I mean,
and then knowing how they ain't put a dime in that place to begin with, you know, that, and like you said, sense of community.
no, dude, Arden Benson still has a
Well,
big
we
sense
have a
of
sense of community. Well, I don't know anymore, man.
No, to me, that's kind of why I like working over here. And, okay, the Arnett Benson in particular, the people here, you know, they know each other, it's a good community. You go east, just right across University into the Jackson neighborhood, totally different.
They're
Totally different. And I don't get, and it's just right across the street, but it's completely different,
Yeah,
you know?
well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see, you know, what the neighborhood turns out. Hopefully we can get you some good ideas on
Yeah.
how to rejuvenate or update the neighborhood. I've
That's
lived
for
here
everybody
on
else, you're
neighborhood on Arlington all my life, and I'm 80 years old.
Really?
So I know, you know, I know what it was like,
Sure.
what it is. what
If
it's
there,
like
if there'd be a way to attract younger homeowners to the neighborhood, cause right now, the homeowners are getting older, and so there's more and more rentals
Yeah.
going on. If you could get a way to attract younger homeowners, you know, young families, cause you got two schools right here in the neighborhood.
It's about to be just.
Well, not anymore.
They're consolidating the two,
Oh, are they really?
where they just tore down Matthews, are rebuilding and consolidating the two to one large.
Oh, right there at Matt, oh.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it's in the neighborhood, but,
Yeah.
you know, which, you know, if there's a way to attract the younger homeowners into the neighborhood, you know, that would, God, that'd be
Right.
huge.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. The, good and bad thing about us finally being able to live stream this on our city YouTube page is we have a lot of people watching. That my good friend Robert in the back let me know. Unfortunately, that means they're not here. So while the number is smaller in the room, we actually do have a lot of people watching. So it is a good thing. Though it doesn't feel quite as snug as it has our past few meetings.
Why is it as important? You think, well, people don't care anymore, nobody showed up, you know. Okay, yeah, that's so cool.
Tonight will be, I say this every time, my goal is always to get us out in an hour. It's never happened. I have the room for an hour and a half. I think tonight we might actually hit it. We're hitting two topics tonight.
Thinking about being a snake on some people, but some people just really do need to, you know, have awakening call
Sure.
and say, hey, you know, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna clean that mess or cut your weeds.
And that actually brings me to a point real quick. So, on some of my past meetings, I've asked for the so concise information of, let's say, a pothole. If there's a pothole, tell me exactly what street, where it is. Tonight, when it comes to public safety and codes violations, we don't want to point out our neighbors. So if there's like a house you're thinking of, kind of name the general area, but let's not point out our neighbors. And also, in a later meeting, when we actually start talking about recommendations, I will have Del Rio come to our meeting. So that'd be a chance for him to
Yeah, we need
to meet you, and we can kind of set up these type of things and come up with strategies, and I think that's a great idea. If we can set up a certain time of year, we can discuss that with them, make sure that that's feasible with how they operate. I can't speak for them, I don't know, but he will be coming to later meetings.
But I'll write down his name and department, I don't know his phone number off the top of my head, but I'll write down his name, and if someone wants to call and put it in his ear, hey, we would like to keep all the beautiful neighborhood cleanup in the Arnett Benson, You know, can we schedule one? Cause normally, a normal codes day, I'm driving up and down the neighborhood and I see a house with a bunch of rubbish front. I drive around the alley and, you know, I can see rubbish in the back or weeds, whatever. The process for weeds and rubbish abatement, I'm gonna write it up, I'll put a notice on the house and send a letter to the property owner. Because a lot of times the property owner lives somewhere else. They get 7 days to take care of the problem or reach out to me and we can work out a timeline, cause some, obviously you've seen yards that these people aren't gonna be able to clean up in 7 days. Or if I write them up, you know, it's an elderly lady who lives in the house, she's gonna need some help. I got no problem working with people. I'd rather them get their stuff cleaned up than. That's a, what's that gonna win, you know, just, it's gonna make it worse, but they get 7 days, I'll be back on the 8th. If they haven't reached out to me, then we put it on our contractors list. The contractor will take care of the problem and we send them the bill.
That's good.
So I don't write citations for weeds and rubbish, we just abate the problem and send them the bill.
Now, I had something happen like that, and it was like about maybe 2 years ago, I guess. I still have the letter at home. But I had just mowed my yard, okay, in the back, the alley. And that week, I don't know, and then code enforcement passed. Then they send me a letter and they say, you have X amount of days to cut it, or we're gonna send it and we're gonna send you the bill for $130, $40 or $110, something like that. So I called. I mean, I was upset because I was just like, my neighbor across, they had weeds up to here, but they sent it to me.
Well, sometimes, you know, like say you mowed, or,
Mhm.
okay, say we went through the alley and we got weeds. We go and we generate the letter, and then you mow, and then a couple of days later,
Right.
you get the letter, we've already sent
Right.
the letter. When we go back, we would see, I mean, you're gonna get the letter and the letter's ugly.
Yeah.
It's worded pretty ugly.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're gonna get the letter and you're gonna be upset, I mowed. But realize that we will be back in a week, and if you mowed, we're saying, oh, it's mowed, and we comply the case, is what we call it. It's complied by owner, and it's done.
And she said when I talked to the lady, I don't remember her, and she's like, well, she goes, you know, I said I can send you photos or whatever, or you can come out here and see, you know. And she was like, well, you know, it's just basically what she told me or I understood is that it's gonna stay there. There's nothing that they can do about it. It's just gonna be like an X on that, hey, you know, we've already, one time, we've sent her out a letter and this and that, so she's become, you know, like it's a problem, like I'm becoming a problem or something, you know. And after the third time or whatever, repeated violations, then it's gonna get worse or something, but that's what she told me.
That's really not the case. I mean, I have people that I have to write up all the time, mow your weeds.
Uh-huh.
And they'll do it, and I go back, okay, they mowed the weeds. And then, you know, a couple of months later, I drive by, the weeds are tall again. I gotta tell them again, mow the weeds. Okay. By law, the first notice I give you, I don't have to write you up every time. So I could send a contractor out, you know, for a whole year after that. But, you know, I feel like I'm part of the community because I'm out here every day. You know, y'all have to see me out here every day. I sure want people out here trying to lynch me. So if your weeds grow again, I'll notify you again. You know, so I'm not gonna, oh, her weeds grew, I'm just gonna send Henry out here to mow the weeds and we're gonna send a $300 bill. Cause it's $300 now.
It's $300.
Yes, ma'am. That's the administrative fee, $300. I know, right?
Okay, and like now also like I called one time, like, now that it's fixing to get hot and there's gonna be flies and everything. Our lids to our dumpsters are broken. Who do we need to contact?
That's gonna be
Solid
Del
waste.
Rio Mullen again, it's solid waste.
Okay.
It's 775
775
3149.
31.
775 30
3149.
3149.
Yes.
Okay,
And he's incredibly nice
okay.
and
Yes.
very attentive. If you call him with an issue or anything, he will get on it. He's a good person with the city of Lubbock. So if you get his number and call him, he'll help you out.
He absolutely will. He is very passionate about what he does with Keep Lubbock Beautiful, and extremely personable, and actually he really does want to help. But let me go back a little bit and just ask again, is there any particular codes issues or anything you see in the neighborhood more than other things that could be better? I say code violations, but as you drive around, you're like, oh, well, that's not pretty. Whether or not it's a code violation, I don't know all of them. So, what are some of the things you see? And of course, I will hand.
Well, I just have one question. Is if it's inside your yard, okay, let's say that it was my yard and I had cars and junk and everything. It's inside my property. Can I get in trouble for that? Is there a code for that?
Yes.
That's a great question. And I was, if no one had asked it, I was going to ask something very similar.
Yes. Yeah, it is a violation, whether it's in your backyard or your front yard. I'm trying to think of how I wanna phrase all this. They got me on camera. But technically, the short answer, yes, it's a violation. People have auto parts and stuff in their yard, even in the backyard where it's fenced in, it's a violation. Old cars and whatnot on the grass, they're an ecological hazard. Because they and stuff, and I know it's just a little bit, it's one car, but you get hundreds of cars all over the city dripping oil and antifreeze and whatnot in the ground, and it's not good for the water table and stuff like that. And not to mention, it does look bad. And I know in the Arnett Benson and the Jackson neighborhoods, junk vehicles are a big issue. And I try to work with people the best I can because I understand it's expensive. Someone's got their wrecked car in their driveway and they want to fix it. And it sits there and the neighbors are calling, man, that guy's truck has been broken for 3 months. It's just sitting there looking bad. And it's a violation. I write it up and they've got 10 days to make it disappear or fix it. Or work something out with me, and I try to give them a little bit of time, as much as I can. It's gotta be a reasonable amount before I send it to the Junk Vehicle Citizens Board, which is essentially court for cars. That's where they give tow orders and stuff like that. Cause that's the final piece to a junk vehicle case, is it gets towed away. And if you do have a junk vehicle and gosh, you don't want it, you've been wanting to get rid of it, the city, we will tow it free of charge. We'll help you out. So a lot of people don't realize that. And then they'll get the notice from me and they'll see on there that it says the city will tow it.
There's a neighbor down the street from me. He's got a junk vehicle in the driveway. He's had there for 30-40 years. He bought it. He needed a vehicle. It ran for a week or two and then it died out. And he's had it parked there ever since. And it doesn't bother me really. It's in the driveway and everything. But the thing is, I tell him, just call wrench apart, He said, well, I don't have the title. never got the title to it. So he's in a bit of a pickle there.
Well, the city doesn't ask for titles. If he wants a voluntary tow, he signs a consent form, and we will tow it.
Well, I'll let him know. If he's, he's thinking about it, but
Yeah, 'cause junk vehicles, on one hand, it's easy to identify. And it's easy for me to write up. And then the human side is where I will work with people. You know, that's, golly, that was my mom's car, but wanted to keep it. I wanna get it fixed up. And then that's where we kinda have to work with people. And I have a man in the Jackson neighborhood. His business, he buys old junky cars and he makes lowriders on them. Really nice ones that he sells. He has limited space in his shop. And he'll buy a car that's a junk vehicle, and it may sit in his driveway for a little while he waits to sell the car from the shop that he's been working on, then he moves it out. Well, he's got a neighbor, I don't know who it is, who just cannot stand that. And every time he puts a new junk vehicle in the driveway, I get a complaint. And I recognize the address and I go talk to him so stuff like that, I kinda let slide. 'Cause I know the guy, and 100% of the time, the junk vehicles I catch in his driveway, within a pretty short amount of time, are gone. So, something like that, we work with people, but, things like your neighbor, if he wants, give me a call, I can do a voluntary tow for him. I mean, he won't get any money for it like he would from Richard Park, but it would get out of his head.
I have a couple of questions for you. One is directly related to this, but it can go to a lot more than just junk vehicles. But how long do some of these processes take? Because I know a lot of times it looks like nothing's been done. You call, you complain, you call on a junk vehicle, you complain. And then it's still sitting there for weeks. It's not that they haven't done anything, but I know there's a process, I just don't know what all that entails.
I write up a vehicle, they get 10 days, so I'll be back on the 11th day. If they've done nothing with the vehicle, then I turn it into the JVCB, the Junk Vehicle Citizens Board. Then it just goes in line. It's court, and that board meets once a month, and they review 10 vehicles at a time. So, depending on where it is in line, it could take a couple of months. Sometimes 3 if we've got a whole bunch. But that's how it works. 10 days, go to JVCB, and that group of people look at 10 a month. So they'll meet on the 15th of the month, look at 10, issue tow orders, and adjourn, and we'll see you next month. So sometimes it can take, 2-3 months, depending on how many are in front of it.
Right, I know you touched on weeds and rubbish a bit, your process there. Are there any other kind of these processes that take a little while?
Some property maintenance issues, things with like vacant houses that are falling apart, probably need to be demolished. Those can take a while because one, it's people's property, we can't just go in and demolish a house. That actually has to go to court with lawyers and everything, and you've got lien holders and title holders and anyone who's lived in the house or has had anything to do with the house. They go to court, and there gets 90 days stays issued and stuff like that, so that's something that can take, up to years, depending on how it goes in court and how property owners want to keep their house or whatever. So that's probably the longest one.
Because I know that, especially that, in our past meetings, that has been touched on with vacant houses. And I knew there was a process, but I knew if I tried to describe the process, I'd be lying to you. You just confirmed that I'm right.
Well, the process, I go through, like, let's say you've got a vacant house in the neighborhood, you call, hey, squatters are getting into the house, they're tearing it up. I come and I locate where they're getting in, yeah, it's a vacant house, it's open and accessible. It's got a bunch of exterior violations that I can see. I write up the notice, and something like that, we put on a high priority. The property owner's gonna get 10 days to fix that. Or again, reach out and make arrangements to secure the house. Cause that's the first thing, is they need to secure the house to keep people out.
So that's the threshold in which you can actually court one of those properties, is it? That's where
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be
lead
open.
people being able to.
You don't really have to. I mean, if you've got questions about a house or a property, man, feel free to report it.
Right.
I'll come out. I mean, there are properties that aren't open
Right.
and they're dilapidated.
What is your threshold if you do run into a house that it looks like it's falling in, but the doors and all the windows are fully boarded up, so no one can get in and out, but you look at it and you're like, that, the wind could blow that over.
Right, right.
Where is that threshold?
Okay. That depends on if somebody is living in the house.
Right.
If it's vacant and I see that, hey, it's, falling in, the roof's caving in, but it is secure, no one's getting in, I will still write it up, send it to the property owner. If no one's getting in the house, they'll typically get 30 days to respond and start some kind of repairs. If not, I turn it over to our housing inspectors who will go to court and get a warrant to go into the property. And then they will document every interior violation and start getting it set up for demolition. That's when the court process starts. They document everything, they do title searches, and let anyone who's ever owned the property, they get notice, hey, here's what's going on, we're gonna go to court to demolish it. You need to respond, or we're just gonna proceed. If no one's in it, again, I give them about 30 days. If, like, say the property's just falling apart and people are living in it, then we've got different issues, because the city's not in the business of kicking people out of their homes. Let's say you're renting a house. Okay, let's say you own the house.
Okay.
It's falling apart. Some neighbor, so her house is just falling apart, it looks terrible. Come out and make her fix it. I'm a human being. You own the house. If you could afford to fix it, you'd fix it, right? That's where I have to, offer solutions. Hey, why don't you call community development or somebody like that? Some kind of organization to help you. I'm not gonna find you. What good is that gonna do? But let's say you're renting the house from We Rent Houses LLC. They're making money off of you. I'm gonna write up every violation I see. And they're gonna need to fix that. Because they're making a profit off of you living in a cruddy house, and that's not right.
Right,
So cases vary, from case to case, it really does.
Okay, now next door to me, it's boarded up in the front,
Okay,
and somebody took down the board over the back door. And now, it's inhabited by cats.
I would like that address so I could address that. I may already have a case on it, but if you have that address, we can write that down.
And if we can do that after the meeting. But,
Or you
but
have
yes,
my
no, that
card.
is very important, please
No,
give him that.
since you have my card,
Yes,
you could report that to me and I can go by and either start a case or update an existing case.
well, I do know it's in an estate. And, from what I've understood, that I there to all the wiring, everything out of it.
Well, that's,
There's no water, no kitchen, no nothing.
well, that would be an easy one. I would write that up, give it the proper amount of time and turn that over to our housing inspectors. Then they would take the case and go from there. It gets in line with their others and they start taking them to court.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yes, ma'am.
No, go ahead, finish.
Oh, no, that's what I was about saying. Unfortunately, once it gets to the court process, that's kind of where it slows down.
Yeah.
we've got the one judge, Judge Hernandez is fantastic, but there are a lot of cases.
Right.
Yeah,
He sees a lot of cases, so once it starts getting into the courts, then it kind of slows down with notifications of, homeowners, property owners, stuff like that, and having proceedings and things like that.
okay.
Now, going back to the junk vehicle.
It's a big issue.
It is.
Are boats allowed to have them on your property and like RVs as well, or,
RVs, RVs fall under what we call oversized equipment, oversized vehicles. A vehicle that's 12 feet tall, over 20 feet long, has to be 25 feet back from the property line.
Okay.
So if you've got 25 feet to store your RV, go for it. A boat typically is not gonna be over 12 feet tall, so it doesn't constitute view obstruction.
Okay.
So if you got a boat, yeah, you can put it in your driveway as long as it doesn't cross over into the sidewalk and block the pedestrian right of way.
but like these RVs, they're living in them.
Ooh, okay, that's
Yeah.
not allowed.
They're, and that's what I had thought, at one time I wanted to set one up in my mom's old neighborhood, and they said, no, but there's two in my area. And I was like, well, I mean, I didn't know, if it was a violation or not.
It is. In a residential, we call them now single family neighborhoods. We used to call them R1, residential, single family house neighborhoods. Living in an RV is not allowed. You're only allowed to live in an RV in an area that's zoned specifically for them. When I'm patrolling the area, sometimes it's easy for me to catch. And there are exceptions to the rule. Like the storage. You can have an RV in your driveway for 48 hours prepping for a trip.
Okay.
So before and after a trip, you got 48 hours to clean it, prep it, whatever you need to do, then it has to be stored properly. You can have somebody stay in a properly stored RV for 2 weeks if they're visitors. My in-laws are coming in, I've got a really nice RV stored properly. They can stay in it for a couple of weeks, and that's it. Living in the RV is the issue. So there's that gray area, and a lot of times it's easy for me to notice. I'm driving, I see an RV with the sign extended out, water hose, electric cord going to it. That's gonna draw my attention, and I'm gonna knock on your door. And I'm gonna ask, is anyone living in it? Oh, no, they're just visiting here for a week or so. Okay, I'll be back in a week or so, and see if they're still here. Then I'll write it up. Sometimes it's harder for me to tell, because there are some RVs that are stored back, and they hide the cords and stuff like that, or it doesn't have the extendable side, and I don't know someone's in it. So I rely on people to report them. Because the neighbors will. If it bothers a neighbor, they'll report it. If you're a neighbor and, you don't mind, you're probably not gonna report it. And if I can't really tell, I can't really write it up. Especially if I see the RV stored properly, I'm just gonna drive right on by. But, there are telltale signs, and if I see one, I'll knock on the door and ask. And again, if you tell me, my sister's visiting and, we don't like her in the house, we're going to stay out here. Coming back in 2 weeks to see if it's still there.
Which now, I have another thing that just came to mind on safety. I live close to the parking garage.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh,
So, and there's a lot of tech students, there's people in general that go up there at night, and I mean, they're yelling, they're drunk. I mean, I called one time because you could hear the girl, and she was just like, no, don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me, you know, and this and that. They went out there, and my biggest thing is that one of these days somebody's gonna come off that rooftop. They go drifting, they're in the garage, and I'm like, who can make that stop?
That'd be police.
Yeah, that'd probably be.
Yes, that's, personal safety, because, from a code standpoint, we don't regulate people. We regulate land and
Right.
land use.
Right.
So yeah, something like that, especially with personal safety, I'd call the police
Absolutely.
in a heartbeat, yeah.
Well, let me ask you one more question before we do transition over to the public safety side, the police side. For you who drives around the neighborhood daily, or maybe you're in Jackson for a couple days, but you're here just about every day, specifically looking for code violations, what are the things you do see most often?
Weeds and rubbish. Rubbish. During the winter, it's rubbish. Of course, during the summertime, weeds. That's gonna be the biggest thing. Junk vehicles. So those are the biggest things right there.
Well, thank you. So I'm gonna ask everyone just, how many, it may not be a full violations, but when they have to write up a little report, how many do you think he does a year here in the neighborhood?
Couple of thousand.
Yeah, a couple hundred.
Ooh.
I do a couple hundred a month.
Uh-oh.
So on average, over the past 5.5 years, it's about 1,334 violations a year. And remember, he's one person. Each area, and Arnett Benson's not his only area. So he is a very, very busy man. All of our code inspectors are very, very busy. If you notice, I should have done a complete total, but weeds and rubbish of all the numbers, are definitely the highest. Like 2025, over 1,000 when,
That was my first full year in the neighborhood, was 2025.
so almost 1,100 of 1,450 were just weeds and rubbish.
But what about, stray dogs?
Animal control.
And that completely different, completely different, completely different department. Again, the only things for animals that they would write up would be animals that people aren't supposed to have. I know I once did a ride along with a code inspector, and we drove by a house, not in this neighborhood, where I counted at least 12 dogs in the tiny front yard. That is a code violation. You cannot have that, you can only have 4 dogs. And it's one of those, I don't wanna see any dog have to leave their owner, but it's a safety issue for the dogs and the people to have that many dogs in a small area. I mean, the front yard was half the size of this room for 12 dogs. So I know the code inspector did go and contact animal services, but also go ahead and write them up. So when it comes to animals, it's a rooster, a pig, can't have a pig.
A cow.
No.
Definitely can. Horses, you can, in old areas, there's weird things, there's some areas that kind of can have horses, but for the most part, no. And even the people that have horses have to go before a board every year to make sure that they can continue having horses. That's a whole other thing I'm not gonna get into.
Isn't it every 4 years?
Might be every 4 years. They have to go before our zoning board of appeals to get permission once again to continue having horses. So, police department. This is very hard to read because there's just so many. Just kind of like I did with codes, there were just 6, 7 different topics. For the police department, there are 58, I believe. So that's a few different types of assault, a few different types of burglary, all sorts, and it'll be, I'll have a bit more, that detailed information. Kinda like, with codes, I broke it down, so we can actually see the 2020 through the end of the year 2025. I didn't get any of the past 5 months, but a 5-year span of complete years to kind of look. So, again, you who are in the neighborhood, live in the neighborhood, work in the neighborhood, worship in the neighborhood, what are some of the like public safety issues that I know we've talked about before, speeding cameras, which is a big one. And that's one I already have down, but what are some of the other, and thank you for mentioning all the issues that go on with that parking deck with the bar at the top and then just, let's face it, tech students or college kids and kids is the key word. What are some of the other major public safety issues that you see that are more prevalent than others around the neighborhood? Also note with everyone watching online, I love our college kids. We were all young and dumb at one
Oh,
point.
yes.
We
Really?
love you.
Okay, where I live, no, I don't need that.
Okay.
Where I live, it's right there on the corner of Indiana, okay? And some of them people drive like bats out of Hades. And some of them even drag race down that street. That's a big no-no to me.
Is there a particular time that it's more prevalent?
No, whenever they get the wild urge to do so.
Fair enough.
And 9 times out of 10, they probably, I don't know, I'm just guessing, they might have had a few drinks to get their courage up to do their.
But thank you, that's good to know, and
There really not much
hard
can
to,
be done unless there's a cop.
Yeah, right there at the time,
Right there.
right?
yeah.
Watching.
Well, I just keep being afraid somebody's gonna end up getting killed on that road and right in front of me, and I'm gonna say, no, I get out of here.
Oh, absolutely, because anything can happen.
Yeah,
There's already been about 2 or 3 deaths on Indiana
uh-huh,
here in a few years.
yeah, there was one over there, between Colgate and
Found a
Baylor,
motorcycle.
yeah.
Took a
Colgate and
motorcycle.
Baylor, a lady going to school, and she reached down in her, car to pick something up, and hit a fence and hit a house, and, she was DOA, but,
Yeah, but it's a wide, long stretch of road, so people are gonna, wanna go fast if they can.
And I know when we talked about just the transportation infrastructure, it's,
yeah,
when you have large, wide, open roads, even if you're not trying to speed, it invites you to speed.
Yeah.
So you'll look down and it's, I never speed, and I'm going 5, 10 over. I don't do that, any police officers watching?
well, I've noticed lately that there's, state police up and down Indiana quite a bit lately.
And Clovis Highway as well.
Yeah, that's all, they're all working for ICE. That's what they're doing, they're
Yeah.
looking for, pull over anybody so they can, see if they can, catch an illegal, that's what, that enforcement's been stepped up.
Yeah,
Like you're saying, you're seeing more, that's what all that's about.
So there has been, I don't wanna get fully into that, but lately there has been more of a police presence here than
Yeah,
ever.
all over town,
Yes.
yeah.
all over town, especially Hispanic neighborhoods, and, that's all that extra presence you see is because of, the enforcement they're doing now. With, they're trying to, I guess they have a quota for for arrested illegal, so they're out there, yeah, that's why you're seeing all
Yeah.
that. That's
Well,
all
I was
that.
out at Cinco de Mayo out at the fairgrounds this past weekend, and there was a big, I mean humongous drone come up over and sit there with their cameras running. You could tell they were taking pictures.
That's how brazen they are, there's no respect, it's a shame.
Well, again, that's a bit out of my purview.
Yeah,
Not that I have
but
any
you know,
control
that
over it,
was
but that's.
unusual. I'd never seen a drone up close like that. And
Oh, I
that was
haven't
a
seen
big, big monster.
Part of me wishes I had seen it, and the other part of me is thankful that I did not.
But it was real quiet, and it, you know, I just looked up and spotted it, and I poked a girl next to me, and she said, "Oh, they're taking pictures, wave."
Well, what are some of the other public safety issues that you run into?
So like I have some people in and around my area, you know, they'll get real loud, you know, in the evening, later in the evening. And some days it's not even on the weekend. And I put it through the my LBK app, and it just kind of, I don't know, I didn't really know which part to put it on, so I put it through the code enforcement because
That's, like, if your neighbors are being loud,
right.
that's gonna be PD.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Again, it's people
that's
being
what I
loud.
was trying to,
Yeah.
because I mean, it is a nuisance.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
Code enforcement.
Yeah, and we do deal with public nuisance, which, yeah, technically it is, but it's people being a public
Right.
nuisance, so
Right.
that would make it PD.
Right. And I was just trying to, because it's kind of, you know, where I'm at, not too far from one of those main streets where people are speeding, and it can get loud, you know, not far from the highway either, where people are speeding there. So, you know, during the day and stuff, you know, it is loud, you know, and so it's all of us, you know, us neighbors, we're fine with the noise during the day, because it is a loud area of the city, you know, just with the traffic, and there's a railroad track not far, and there's all those industrial businesses, and they make a lot of noise too. But they're not making that noise, you know, two in the
No.
morning on a Tuesday, you know, so.
Do you live more on the north side of the neighborhood by or more on the south near the college?
Yeah, it's this is more on the near Clovis, yeah,
Okay.
so it's loud, but, you know, it's gotten to the point, you know, where every so often, you know, people will be more louder than they need to be, you know,
Well, that's-
in violation of the
Yeah,
ordinance.
If it is, I mean, don't hesitate to call PD, they'll come out here and
Right.
they'll make them quiet down.
So I just didn't, you know, I was trying to, I was saying that I probably didn't provide enough information or something
Well,
like that. And
While it's happening, instead of using the app, because that's gonna take like a full day to get assigned to a person.
Right.
If it's happening, you know, it's midnight, you're Tuesday, you gotta work the next morning.
Right.
Neighbors are being loud, call the non-emergency number for PD
Okay,
and they can dispatch somebody right then.
okay, yeah, cause that's just, you know, it's
And it's anonymous too, they're not gonna come say, hey, so-and-so right here is
Right.
complaining on you.
Yes, cause it's kinda, you know, we'll have people, you know, we'll have the occasional, you know, people going through joyriding and, you know, shooting guns real quick and then driving off and stuff like that. I don't know, it's just kinda, most of those people, they're just racing through the neighborhood anyways, you know, they don't live here.
Well, like Detroit and Boston, you know, during the day, those are the
Right,
busy streets. And I know, not so much at night, but during the day, there's a lot of utility work being done in the
Right.
neighborhood.
right,
They're laying a bunch of fiber optics and stuff, so you've got work trucks and stuff coming in and out of alleys
Right.
onto Detroit, so,
Right.
you know, people really need to watch themselves driving, you know, through the.
So far most of the things mentioned have been noise vehicle related, which that's great. And if that's the biggest of y'all's concern, that's great.
You
Now,
know,
I don't want, the reason I wanted to talk to y'all before I show y'all actually all my statistics is I don't want
right,
you to be biased on what the what the data says, cause, I wanna make sure I hear from you just your honest opinion about the neighborhood and the things that you see.
Right.
So,
I wanted to say one more thing about
Yes, sir.
public safety as far as codes. You have the microphone?
yes,
Okay. I know we talked about it earlier, but vacant houses also can fall under public safety.
Okay, right.
And so if you know of a vacant house that is not secured, please don't hesitate to report it, because not only is it a public safety issue with homeless people getting in it, because eventually they're gonna catch it on fire.
Right.
Which is a big safety issue, but also kids. Kids are curious. You know, I know if I lived by a vacant house and I was a kid, I'm going in there. You know, I'm gonna check it out. And they don't know what's in there that could hurt them, whether it's the floor is bad, they fall through, or if there are people in there that could do harm to them. So it's codes and public safety at the same time. You know, please don't hesitate to report vacant houses if you think people can get in. You know, if you know it's secured and no one's getting in it, you know, whatever, but if you think people are getting in it, you know, let me come look, cause the worst that happens is that there's not a violation. You know, but if it's open, I will start the process on it, cause it does fall under public safety, and I hate for someone's house to get damaged by fire or kid get hurt playing in a vacant house that they shouldn't be in.
I about gave y'all a story as an example, and then, I thought better of that. Cause we're on camera. So is there any other? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I still, it is, I think it falls under public safety, we got a lot of pedestrians and people that, walk through, they walk, and that's how they get around and they just, some areas, I feel like just, there's not and I think it may have been specifically like on Erskine and Detroit. I think for a long time there actually used to be a light there, and I'm not sure if it was just like a flashing red light.
It's just a four-way stop now, but
Yeah, it's just a four-way stop, and there's a lot of people that drive there, they're coming off the highway, they're speeding, and there's a lot of people that walk down that road on Erskine from Detroit to Clovis it's a pretty thin road,
yeah, and it's busy, it's.
And it's busy.
Yeah, it's a busy street.
And you got a lot of people walking and stuff, and there's other spots, I think, in the neighborhood that are like that. So I see a lot of people, they're walking and, they're, some of them not using the sidewalk, that's kind of, they're walking kind of in the street or on the side. And so I feel like just, that right there is a public safety issue, being afraid of getting, these people could accidentally get hit while in the neighborhood, walking around. Thankfully, I don't drive too much through the neighborhood at night, but I'm pretty sure that could be a problem too, because I see a lot of people walking there every day. It seems like it's just more than it was in the past. There's a lot of pedestrians over here now.
And I'll admit, I don't have the data for if there have been or how many incidents of pedestrians being hit in the neighborhood.
Right.
I know it would probably fall under traffic accidents would be my guess, so it's probably lumped in there.
Right.
But I will try to get a hold of that data, because you bring up a very good point about pedestrian safety being public safety.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I ride my bicycle through the neighborhood all the time to exercise and in this part of the city, it's easier to ride a bicycle in this part of the city and in this neighborhood because we're so close to everyone. And even when I'm riding my bicycle, I'm coming across, pedestrians here, there, walking in the alley, out into the street, walking in the middle of the street, crossing the street, you know what I mean? So thankfully I have a car and I can go both ways, bicycle or a vehicle, but I'm just like, man, if you only gotta, you just walk all the time, you need to be careful, dude, you know? Like, you're coming off these roads fast.
Well, I guess I will go ahead and show you the actual data for the neighborhood. And again, this is 2020 through 2025, so a 6-year span. And honestly, everything has kind of stayed pretty close. Crime actually has gone down. Although this is not just crime, this is like incident reports. That's the data I get from the officers, is really how many incident reports they come out and make. So that can be actual crime, but it also can be traffic incidents. But really, things have decreased slightly, but stayed in a relatively the same range, except last year it actually dropped significantly down to only 744 from it being average around 1450, 1500 a year.
Right.
So that is very good. And some of the more relevant things that you'll see on here, and I say relevant, I did not put the actual percentages on here. But even any of these categories, because there are so many that are the most, is still a very, very small number of reports overall. But then some of the things that are the highest are things that you wouldn't see, like assault offenses is actually one of the highest. That's not anything that you would actually see unless it's occurring at your or at your neighbors.
Yeah.
But really, everything is relatively comparable with other areas of the city. I compared this because I just got all the data from the north. I don't get mad if I say substation. The Northern Patrol Station. I got all of their data, so I just compared. Even though Arnett Benson actually is under the Eastern Patrol Station, I didn't have that data as handy. But in comparison, honestly, the numbers were very comparable by the percentages. And even with how the crime rate or incident report rate is trending. Very, very comparable
It's a
to
good
other areas.
neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a safe, good neighborhood,
It's
so.
a safe, good neighborhood, you know, we're established, you know, this is a Mexican neighborhood. And it has been, you know, like I said, I grew up there, I was born here in this neighborhood. I'm almost 70 years old. And, I've seen how, you know, any fluctuations, there's not, we're stable, we're good, we're clean. We're not the worst neighborhood in Lubbock, I can tell you that.
Well,
As
one thing
far
I
as
will say,
crime and drugs and all.
one thing I will say, and I remember I made this statement to council when I first did all the numbers on how we were gonna pick neighborhoods. It was, there's no bad neighborhood in Lubbock, there's not. We only pick neighborhoods based off of how they ranked in certain criteria. But even with that being said, look at things like this, aren't it? This is a great neighborhood. Absolutely a fantastic neighborhood. I'm glad to be working here. But really, that's all that I have for you tonight. If there are other things you can think of about codes or about just public safety as a whole, please let me know. If there are certain incidents or specific things, if it's codes, please let. If it's the police department, you know, the emergency line is 911, but they also have the non-emergency line. I can get that number to you to report any non-emergency. Please give them a call if you see any kind of issue. Because that's the only way when it comes to these things, we can actually make progress is by reporting what we see. But again, thank you all for being here tonight. It means so much to me, and thank you everyone who tuned in on the YouTube. It's our first time. It was a trial run. I hope it went well for everyone, and I appreciate once again everyone for being here.
All right, thank you.
How about the police station?
Oh, what is that, please? Station number?
75?